when I was in college days, actually some things have stuck in my mind so profoundly that even while I make decisions today, I go back to those memories, you know. Like for example, I think when we were very young in college, Bunyad and Hum Log were the series. So we used to get glued to TV and see those. Tamas was another serial I remember, which was kind of scary in that sense. Scary in the sense it made us reflect so much about our past, about history, but then we were kind of glued to that. In cinemas, I remember Earth. Probably it is also your mental setup, the situations that you are in, the things make impact on you, probably. So Earth made lot of impact. And especially, I don't remember much about the entire film, but the last scene where she talks about her identity and her independence, that is stuck with me. And when I got introduced with Vinta and learned that she was she made Tara, which in my memory was the first women-centric serial. So I was so happy. So these kind of memories, these kind of impacts are there. And when I started working at the Grassroots 29 years ago with an organization that I co-founded called CORO, Committee of Resource Organizations, which started working with adult literacy cause, but then women empowerment and gender equality was at the core of everything that we did. And then we landed into changing paradigms at the grassroots by facilitating grassroots leadership. Actually, people who are making impact and who are making change at the grassroots and who are always seen as beneficiaries or implementers, kind of a demeaning thing. So we wanted to shift that paradigm there and see how they can be seen as grassroots leaders and change makers and change leaders. So developed a grassroots leadership program here. While working in the community, this was, I'm talking about 91, 92, when we started with adult literacy work, there were new videos had come. So people used to watch 3 movies overnight and then sleep in the morning in the communities, you know. So, and then actually when people use, especially women, use TV characters as their arguments, it becomes so difficult to deal. I mean, I remember during discussions, women were saying, but Parvati ne aisa nahi kiya. Parvati didn't do like this, some Parvati character. So actually, some of the characters were so regressive and were endorsing so regressive stereotypes, but women would say, oh, I mean, she did this, so that becomes kind of justification. And that's very difficult because there is something called collective unconscious that needs no rational, no reflection, nothing. So it's there, kind of thing. So when that comes into your intellectual and emotional justifications and argument, then it becomes very difficult to deal with. So that we have experienced while doing with literacy thing. And then I also saw there are so many indigenous leaders. I have seen people changing profoundly in an incredible way. But they don't catch imagination of their near peers in their near communities. And probably that is because their stories don't get made larger than life. You know, they don't become disseminable, they don't become communicable. So they don't get that kind of respect in this sense. And so because we are talking about grassroots leadership today, before going to the panelists, I was saying why we started this grassroots leadership. I mean, how is very easy part of that, but why we started. And I think that applies to all of us. It's not just for the grassroots people. So what refrains us from being who we are? I mean, and what we want to say, why don't we say what we want to say? Why don't we do what we want to do? And there is some kind of fear, there is some kind of sense of identity that refrains us from doing what we want to do. So actually while working, we realized that if we address this sense of identity, sense of self, the fragmented sense of identity, if we deal with that, if we address that, and if we try and eliminate the diffidence in that sense, that people have, then people do wonders. And that happens with all of us. And the leadership program primarily does that. I mean, it addresses the sense of fragmented identity or fragmented sense of identity of individual that makes them helpless, thinks that they are not worthy enough, they are not able to contribute anything. And when that sense changes, actually people do wonders. One of my colleagues and friend, actually who ran to police station, doused with kerosene that was poured on her, just because she wanted to get out of violent marriage. She's a Muslim. So and then she seeks some help, she seeks organizational help, and there is a big journey that happens, big journey of transformation that happens. And in 2015, she is amongst 100 most influential women in BBC's Global Women's List. Actually, so much drama, so much drama. If the entertainment requires the drama, it's all there. It's all a real-time story, real life story. But still it doesn't get catch up in the way it should be portrayed. It should be inspirational. It should be kind of role model. So there are two aspects, I think, about working with men. One is bringing in men's issue. When somebody was talking about sexual abuse done on boys and how to bring that. So that is one thing. So bringing out what is happening with boys. And also in the context of gender-based violence, I would say, it is preparing men and empowering men to accept the empowerment of women in that sense. Because if we don't, men are part of problem, yes, but also part of solutions. So one has to bring them as partner on the table and have some discussion. I just end with the example, because only today morning I heard in communities that we work, so boys and girls together in groups went to see Padman. You know, together, like friends together, which was kind of really amazing. I mean, a step forward, because the collective consciousness that I was talking about, it says it's sin to talk about menstruation and all those things, you know, it's very, only characterless women would talk about that. But then it has pricked that unconscious actually, and not endorsed that unconscious in a way. So that such things are really, and such efforts are very important.